I'm Eruc Claassen, and I'm a third-year student at the NWU. My story with epilepsy began when I was about 14 years old. It started with small seizures, still undiagnosed. We had actually, for a while, we had no idea what it was. So I went to a lot of doctors, and some neurologists tried to diagnose what the problem was, but they couldn't quite put their finger on it. So I had actually quite a few medications that I had to take when it was still undiagnosed. In that time, it was quite tough for us as a family to deal with something we don't even know the problem was. We just know that there was something wrong. We didn't quite know what. So that was quite difficult for us as a family. But in 2017, I had the opportunity to go to a neurologist who specializes in epilepsy. So he actually diagnosed it and said, all right, this is there in your brain, and it was frontal lobe. So affecting short-term memory and especially your emotions, which that part of the brain especially affects. So yeah, short-term memory was quite a big problem for me. Like now, as I'm sitting here, my grade 8 and 9 year is quite unfamiliar for me. I can't remember anything actually. There's a few highlights that I can remember, but most of the year was nothing I can recall now. Only stories I've heard afterwards that I said, oh, I did that. For example, afterwards I discovered that I did not actually write the grade 9 exams. So that was quite interesting for me to know afterwards, because I couldn't even recall it. My mother told me the story, and then it was quite shocking for me to find that out. So that was in grade 9, and then grade 10, 2017, I had the operation, which was luckily successful, and by grace, everything is still fine at the moment. This April, it was 5 years seizure-free, which is quite good. I'm quite impressed with the medical advice and practice I had. I'm very privileged to say that. There's a lot of different ways of treating this, but having operation was the way that helped me. So maybe your path will look a bit different than mine. And yeah, at the moment, I'm a third-year student studying management accounting at the NWU. So I remember in grade 9, for a brief period of time, we actually thought that I will not be able to study because of my learning disability with epilepsy and the medication, my inability to study and remember short-term things. So with this message, I just want to encourage you that if you're feeling like I'm feeling in grade 9 at the moment, like feeling there's no hope for you, you're feeling, I'm stuck in this and this is not part of my life. There is success stories that began where you maybe are now with epilepsy or in school with epilepsy. But there is a story of hope which I want to bring to you and say that, all right, so there I was there, and now I'm here. Like, I'm now in university and beating all the odds that people thought of me. Usually, a cool story of my epilepsy as well. Heights used to trigger me extremely bad when I had seizures. So when I was on a high building and looked down or something like that, it would immediately trigger me. And actually this month, I did skydiving for the first time. So jumping from 10,000 feet did not even trigger me anymore. So which is also a very good testimony, and to tell you that there is hope for people. And actually swimming, I did swimming as well for a long period of my life, and then when epilepsy began, for 2 years they said that I will not be able to swim anymore, do that as a sport. So that was quite devastating for me, because it was a real part of my life, and I quite enjoyed it quite much. And actually at the end of the year, I'm going to participate in the Ironman, so which involves a 1.9 kilometer swim in the sea, which is quite scary to think about. But yeah, just another testimony to tell you that you might be feeling now that epilepsy may be beating you and is very traumatic, and this is stuck with you for your whole life. But I want to encourage you today and say that there is stories of people who had epilepsy and are now free, seizure free for a while now. And yeah, there is things that you think you might not be able to do. Yeah, to use this epilepsy as a learning curve, and to know that, not play the victim mentality to say that, oh, because of epilepsy I can't do this or that. I want to encourage you and say that you rather use this time and say that, oh, I want to learn from this. What did epilepsy teach me afterwards? Instead of thinking, I'm playing the victim and saying, oh, but I'm stuck with this my whole life, so my life will be not normal. You can have a normal life, and there is hope for everyone.